I'm very happy to join this event, and I take this opportunity to thank the authorities of Sri Sriji University for taking this very good initiative. I hope that we will be having a very fruitful session and very good interactions, and we will be able to motivate the younger generation towards the new areas that are being opened up in the field of Sanskrit. You have raised so many questions with regard to Natya Shastra and Sanskrit theatre, Dr. Shilpi. It's a vast area, and it is one of the most promising area today. I'll be covering a few of its aspects. The first question is, what is Sanskrit theatre? What do we mean? What do we mean when we say Sanskrit theatre? The Sanskrit theatre means, in Sanskrit we can say Natya, and Natya has been defined as Trailokyasya Sarvasya Natyam Bhavanu Kirtanam. The Anukirtan or retelling, redoing, representing all the bhavas or all the states of life of not only this world, but the worlds beyond, 3 worlds. That is, this kind of representation is Natya. And theatre is the word in English for Natya. It is synonymous to Natya. When we say Sanskrit theatre, this is a specific term which was coined in the last quarter of 20th century. The last quarter of 20th century opened up an area of new discussions between Sanskrit Pandits and theatre activists, the Rangkarmis or the theatre people. And Kalidas Academy at Ujjain became a venue for these discussions. So the question raised was this, that how far the Natya Shastra of Bharat Muni is relevant for the modern theatre. And during these deliberations, this term Sanskrit theatre came up. So by Sanskrit theatre, they meant that any play being performed as per the specifications of Natya Shastra, as per the methods, the dicta prescribed by the Natya Shastra, and following the philosophy, following the aesthetics of Natya Shastra. If a play, whether it is a Sanskrit play or it is a modern play, if it is whether it is a play of any other language, if it is performed as per the system of Natya Shastra, according to the philosophy of aesthetics and the value system that Natya Shastra imbibes, that performance would be called Sanskrit theatre. So it is not necessary that you perform a Sanskrit play and that will be called Sanskrit theatre. It is possible that you are doing a Sanskrit play on modern European style in a realistic method, on a proscenium theatre, on the box theatre with a drop curtain, but that will not be Sanskrit theatre. So this thing we must understand, and that way Sanskrit theatre opens a vast area that you can perform Shakespeare's play, you can perform any modern play as per the specifications, as per the philosophy of life, philosophy of theatre, or the aesthetics which is there in the Rasabodha, and the values of life which the theatre should imbibe as per the Natya Shastra system. So if you are following that, any performance in any language, any performance of a play would be called Sanskrit theatre. So that way it invites all the theatre activists from all across the world. So we find that greatest of the theatre directors are looking towards Natya Shastra. They want to understand what is the philosophy of Natya Shastra. And there are very great theatre directors in the world, theatre. They are propounding a philosophy which is somehow coming nearer to the Natya Shastra. They are fed up with the realistic system of theatre, the European theatre or the Victorian theatre. So they are looking towards the Asian theatre, and the Natya Shastra as a text also is the best exposition of that philosophy of theatre, and we can adopt this. So this is about the concept of theatre. And there is one question, how far this system of Natya Shastra and Sanskrit theatre is related to the regional theatres, regional theatres, traditional theatres of India. So we find that in some way or other, all the regional theatres are connected to the Natya Shastra tradition, whether it is Yakshagana or Kudiyattam in itself is Sanskrit theatre. So Kathakali and March in Malwa, so in Kashmir there are forms. In some way or other, they have imbibed the philosophy, the core value system of Natya Shastra, all the traditional regional theaters. So there is a continuity of Natya Shastra tradition in the regional theaters. So we can also look towards the regional theaters and find the linkage between the Natya Shastra system and the regional theaters. So this again is a challenging area, and it is an invitation to all the theater artists to adopt the Natya Shastra system. Just as the Bharatnatyam people in the dance area, they have adopted the Tandava Adhyaya, the fourth chapter of Natya Shastra, to elevate, to emancipate the Bharatnatyam. In the same way, modern Indian theater can be elevated, can be emancipated, and can be used to discover the roots of our theater, to find out the identity of our theater. So that is why the term Sanskrit theater and its core concept becomes very much relevant, has become very much relevant for us. Now the question is, was this tradition lost a bit? I feel that some sort of linkage, the living traditions of Natya Shastra were lost, at least in the last centuries, in the northern belt of area. In some remote areas of Kerala, in temples of Kerala, they were doing Sanskrit theater. The Chakyas there, they were allowed to the age-long tradition. But in the northern area, because of the political invasions or various socio-political conditions, the living traditions of Natya Shastra were lost. And Natya Shastra as a text was out of our curriculum. The manuscripts were not available. So only towards the beginning of 20th century, we started rediscovering Natya Shastra. And this rediscovery of Natya Shastra changed the whole scenario, the whole cultural scenario in the world. So the first complete printed edition, Kavyamala edition of Natya Shastra came out in 1894. So hardly 120 years have passed after the rediscovery of Natya Shastra in the modern world. So within this 1 century, Natya Shastra has come into the core of into the center of the world culture, of the world theater, and people all the theater artists all around the globe, they are looking towards Natya Shastra. So it is an area for the younger generation, those who are interested in art and drama and theater, to explore Natya Shastra and to find out how far we can adopt it in our practice of modern theater. So there are many references which I would omit, time being so short. But we started looking to Natya Shastra when after the publication of Kavyamala edition, the complete printed edition of Natya Shastra, then the Vadodara edition came. Before that, Sir William Jones was lamenting that the book of Natya Shastra is not available to him. Otherwise, he would have better understood the Abhigyan Shakuntalam of Kalidasa. And there are many European scholars who are in search for Natya Shastra in the beginning of 20th, towards the last quarter of 19th century. So a great discovery. It was a great achievement for the modern world and a contribution of Indian contribution to world culture, that a complete Natya Shastra is available to us now. If I am asked to name at least 5 books which have contributed towards the making of world culture, Natya Shastra is definitely for me one of those 5 books. Rigveda, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Kautilya's Arthashastra, and then Natya Shastra. These 5 books have led to the making of world culture. So Natya Shastra has changed the whole scenario of world culture now. And now the question is, how far the system of Natya Shastra, or the theater which we call as Sanskrit theater, how far is it different from the other theaters, say the European theater or the realistic theater, which we perform on a proscenium theater with a drop curtain. So what we do there, that we create an illusion of reality. We perform it as if some magic is going on, and the audience should have a kind of Brahma. They should be led to believe that what they are seeing is a reality. It is happening before them. We do not do that in Sanskrit theater. We recreate a whole world again. We re-narrate what has been narrated. We retell what has been told. So this Bhavanukirtan shapes a new order of things. It leads us to an emancipation. It leads us to entirely a new world, which Abhinav Gupta calls Ubhay Desh Kala Tyaga. Both the performer and the spectators, the audiences, they are elevated to a new plane of time and space. So this reaching a new plane of time and space for the elevation of our personality, we are free of the limited bondages of our personality. We feel emancipated. That is called the rasa experience. So that is the aesthetics of Natya Shastra or the aesthetics of Sanskrit theatre. So being merely entertained is not rasa experience. Sometimes we say that we have experienced Shangara rasas, the scene of lovemaking was there, but that will not be necessarily rasa experience, and that may not be necessarily Sanskrit theatre unless we experience a value system within, unless we are emancipated, unless we feel a samskara. So what Bharat Muni does, that each rasa is linked to some purushartha. Shangara to kama purushartha, vibhasya to shanta purushartha, vira to dharma purushartha, and rodra to artha purushartha. So these four purushartha, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, they are invariably linked to the four basic rasas. So unless we have a motivation for purushartha, unless we feel a value system within us, the rasa experience will not be there. So this is the basic difference between a realistic European theatre and the Sanskrit theatre as I understand. So that way, this is a challenge for the younger generation, how to relive that philosophy and how to prove before the world that this is a system of theatre which you should look towards. The world needs this theatre. The world is suffering because we have forgotten the value system. We have forgotten our link to our environment, and we have become isolated. So the Western theatre or realistic theatre, which presents a man in isolation, Sanskrit theatre presents it, opens its wide horizon by giving its linkage to the whole environment. So the Pururanga, which is performed before the beginning of any drama, it shows the opening of human being, how it is linked to the other worlds, how a human being is linked to nature and its surroundings. So this way, the practice of Sanskrit theatre will lead to the opening of a new era, and it's an area which should which we should look towards. And there are so many other points that Natya Shastra is not just a text. It is not simply a book. It's a book of 36 or 37 chapters, which is available in English and Hindi translations. So the younger people, they should study it. And after studying it, they should consider how the system is relevant for their theatre. But the concept of time and space, which this system gives, that there is no unilinear time. The concept of time, as we see in realistic theatre or European theatre, is linear concept of time. Here is a multiple concept of time, that Triloki and Trikala, they are mixed up together. So the cyclic movement of time, it gives altogether a different concept of time-space framework, and it opens our limited personality to infinitum, to infinite. So this is the world needs today this sort of theatre, and if Natya Shastra is adopted for the performing arts today, I'm sure that it will open new areas. And there are so many theatre directors. You see, Kavalan Panikkar was one of the most eminent, internationally renowned theatre directors who was practicing Sanskrit theatre. Then Ratan Thiyam is there. There are so many other theatre directors who are doing Sanskrit plays in accordance with Natya Shastra system. It is Bansi Kaul or Kamal Vasisht. So many younger directors are coming. There are theatre repertoires now which are doing Sanskrit theatre. So this is an area which opens up new vistas, new opportunities for us. So thank you very much. I think I have taken more time than was allotted to me, and I am so grateful to the authorities of Sri Sriji University and to the organizers, to Shilpi Tiwari, for organizing this very good event. Thank you.